I've just been offered a job to manage a club in Paris, but it's not who you might think. That's right, it's Paris FC, the other team from Paris. Unlike their wealthy neighbors PSG, Paris FC literally have no money and compete in the second division in France. But what if we can turn the tables and make Paris FC better than PSG by becoming the first club based on Paris to win the Champions League? But challenge accepted, as I'm taking over Paris FC as I'm trying to win the Champions League before PSG. However, that isn't going to be so easy. Just take a look at this squad. A lot of our players are over the age of 30, like Deco, Lopez, this guy who used to play for Sevilla, and even our goalkeeper. And with only 7 million in our budget, it doesn't compare to the hundreds of millions PSG have. It's going to be very hard to compete with that club. However, our squad and our budget isn't the only issue, as I was very vocal when I signed for Paris FC that I will win the Champions League before PSG, that Luis Enrique wasn't very happy, and he said he would take one of my best players every single season. And because PSG is such a big club, it's going to be almost impossible to convince my players to stay with this project if PSG come knocking. But I believe the moment we qualify for Champions League football, I could convince whoever PSG come in for every season to stay at our club. But in the meantime, every player we develop and sign is in danger of leaving the club to our rivals. But anyways, let's kick off this takeover and analyze the squad. And taking a look at the squad, it isn't as bad as I thought. Our best player is Maxime Lopez, who used to play for some clubs in the top division of Ligue 1. And we also just do have a bunch of players who are above the rating of 70. However, the age problem is a real problem. We only have 4 players under the age of 20, and one of them isn't even ours. So we definitely need to make some signings or get some youth academy players to help relay youth in the squad. And speaking of youth, I did find an incredible youth scout in Maxime Van de Velde. He also has an incredible name, but 5-star judgment, we're gonna have to spend half the budget on a youth scout. And considering we are a club in France, we definitely have to get some French talents into this club. But now the question is, what position should we get our youth talents from? I think the most important part of the pitch is always the core, so I think we should look for center backs, center mids, and of course, some strikers. For the time being, we're gonna let Maxime Van de Velde to do some cooking on the side while we go ahead and fix up our squad and make some signings. And because we signed Maxime Van de Velde, we only have 4 million to spend on signings. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and fix our lineup. So I've gone ahead and changed the formation to a 4-3-3 attack because that is Edgar Reyes ball. And the squad is looking pretty decent. However, we do have a weakness in that right wing position and mainly the center back positions, as they're both below the range of 70 and one of them is over 30. So I think if we're gonna make any signings, it's gonna be to those 3 positions. But before we sign any players, I did transfer list a couple players that are over the age of 30 or players we have too many positions in, like the striker position. I want to go ahead and raise funds, see all of the money we can spend, and finally make our signings. And after selling most players in the transfer list, we have gained a promising 10 million. Surely that should help us youth in the squad with some amazing young talents. So I've gone ahead and made a short list of positions we do need. However, the first player I do want to go for, as crazy as it sounds, is Ethan Mbappe. He might be just a little bit too good for this club, but if we could get some popular players in with some big names, surely more young talents and more players would be willing to stay with us. However, the only issue that he's running for 6.5 million and the cheapest we could get him is 5.5 million, which is at least half our budget. But I'm willing to see if we can get them down the price and maybe get him for a bargain. Alright, the first thing I'm gonna do here is offer just an old center midfielder and try just to get him like maybe 3 million plus this guy named Marchetti. He's worth 2 mil. Please, let's see what they say. They don't want an old bastard like Marchetti. It's gonna be a tough one. My follow-up offer is another swap deal for Kamara plus 4 million. That is a lot more money that they would be receiving, and they just don't want a swap deal. It seems like they want pure money for a talent like Ethan Mbappe. So I'm gonna start the offers here at 4.5. That is a lot of money, but I think it is worth it if we can get a big name like this and a talent like this at the club. And they say yes, Ethan Mbappe is gonna join Paris FC. And for 4.5 million, we are bringing in Ethan Mbappe, a midfield maestro at 17 years old, probably gonna be our best player already as he signs for the club. His brother played for the other side of Paris, while Ethan is playing for this side. Hopefully that he grows well and we don't have to sell him at any point throughout this run to PSG. And now with Ethan Mbappe joining the starting 11, we only have 5 million left to go ahead and sign a right back and possibly 1 or even 2 center backs. And for center back, I did really only have 2 French options because I only want to really sign French players as much as possible. And Clinton Insiala from Rangers and Brahim Traore from Cyan. One of them is better than the other, but the other one seems to be cheaper. I want to go ahead and try to go for Brahim Traore, see if I can strike a 3-0 because at 6'3", 67 overall, at just 20 years old, he has a lot of room left to grow. But I'm gonna be honest, the negotiations were super easy. For only 2.2 million plus one of our center backs in Cheregui, we are signing Traore to our club, and he's definitely gonna be one of our better center backs in the future, as long as he also doesn't leave us for PSG in the future. And that leaves us with the right mid / right wing position with only around 3 million left. We have Edan Diop and we have Noah Ejuma. Can we go ahead and sign any of these players because they are some huge talents? And after hefty negotiations, we have gotten Monaco down from 3.8 million to 2.1 million for Edan Diop. Surely he's going to be an exciting winger for us out here at Paris. And we have gone ahead and put it off, like I mentioned before, for 2.1 million. We have signed Diop. Surely another future great winger like the likes of Ousmane Dembele and Doué from PSG. Surely Diop could become one of our own as long as he remains here and stays long enough to help us win the Champions League before PSG. And now the new signings are in the squad. The overall squad does look exactly the same, but the only difference is we replaced a lot of the older players with some young ones. And I hope as well that Maxime could bring us some amazing young talents for the future. And it seems like our youth scout has a report. I'm so excited to see who he has brought in, and oh my days, boys. I'm not sure if PSG paid off Maxine or they paid off EA to not allow me to use the youth scout. But it looks like it's not working. So we basically cannot get youth talents. This is going to be even more difficult. And now not being able to use youth academy players is going to be even harder because at any moment PSG are looming ready to snatch our best player. And the season has come to an end and we are promoting to Ligue 1 as we did win a league title. We have gotten our first trophy as Paris FC manager and we're already going straight to the first division. And not only did we promote, but PSG also lost in the semis to Liverpool in the Champions League, meaning we could still do our goal. Not only have we promoted, but our squad has grown an insane amount, mainly our captain Maxime Lopez, who's gone to an 80 overall, by far the highest rated player in our team. And to be honest, that comes with no surprise. Even though he only got 3 goals and 6 assists, he was the holding midfielder with an average rating of 6.85. It makes sense why he grew by so much. But surprisingly, our top goal scorer and our best player technically was Crasso with 20 goals. He was our main striker. He probably did get a lot of service. Hold on a minute. The big boys have come rushing in. They want a Paris FC player. Yes, that's right. PSG will be stealing one player from the first team, and of course, we just promoted to Ligue 1, so whoever gets the offer, they're surely not gonna decline. Now, I'm really hoping they don't take our captain, Maxime Lopez. We really need him to lead us in Ligue 1, and no, Lopez is gonna be the man. Take it to PSG. He really outperformed in League 2 this year, but I guess it's time to say goodbye. And there goes our captain, Lopez. He has joined the PSG. This is not good. If you guys have enjoyed this video so far, make sure to subscribe. Thank you. We're so close to 200k. Now in Season 2, we are of course in Ligue 1, but it's not going to be easy to stay here because we have a huge void left by Maxime Lopez in the midfield. We have no access to the youth academy. And we also only have 14 million to go ahead and replace Lopez. And not only that, but replace more of the players to continue to improve our side. However, after taking a look around, I think I found the perfect replacement. And we can actually get him for absolutely free, as Paul Pogba somehow is still in the free agency. A year since his ban was uplifted to play football, we can get Paul Pogba on a free to captain our side, possibly to the Champions League. And I would have been so dumb to have not taken this deal. Another superstar signing alongside Ethan Mbappe. We have brought in Paul Pogba. Surely this is gonna be the biggest signing in Paris FC history. And it doesn't get any better than this. Paul Pogba will now lead Paris FC, and we still have a lot of money to go ahead and improve the side. And I think up next, I want to go ahead and replace Crasso. As good as he was last season, I do want a younger option. And I think the perfect player to sign is an ex-Premier League player in Sekou Mara. Now at 72 overall, literally only 1 overall less than our current striker. Somebody with Premier League experience surely should shine in the top division of France football. And I think we have struck an amazing deal here for only 3 million plus our current striker Grasso, I believe it was. We have signed Sekou Mara, who is basically the same overall rating and around 6 years younger with a lot of experience in the Premier League and even in Ligue 1. Surely this is a great signing, and I hope he can score plenty of goals and get us to a Champions League position. And now with Mara and Pogba in the side, we still have 8 million left. That's a lot of money. We can either improve our fullbacks, maybe our center backs, but they are very young. I do want to entrust our center backs. maybe we can replace our current cam or a left winger for somebody around the same overall and maybe even younger. And I think the perfect player to go for is actually a player who used to play for the PSG Academy for 6 years of his life, and that is Adio Awuchiche. I believe you say it like that. Now plays for Sunderland, could be considered a flop, but let's get him back to where he should have belonged, at the very top in Paris. And Awuchiche is returning to Paris, but this time at Paris FC for 2.4 million plus our current winger, which was, I believe, was Caparo. He was 20 years old. This guy's 22. 6 years in difference, around the same overall rating. And this guy has championship experience and, of course, Ligue experience from the past. And with our final 5 million, we have signed an ex-wonder kid and Nicolas Scotza for our left back position, improving that left back spot. Hopefully, we can get him to the heights that he was once envisioned for. And now our squad is looking better than ever, ready for the first season in Ligue 1. We cannot get too comfortable with any of these signings because at any moment, PSG will come calling. And as our first season in Ligue 1 is being simulated, not only do we want to beat PSG to the Champions League, but I'm also working on my legacy as a manager. And by the end of the video, I want you guys to help me decide what type of manager I became at the end of this save. Whether I was just a fraud of a manager, a passion merchant, a proper gaffer, or maybe even the greatest of all time, becoming the special one. And our first season in Ligue 1 has come to an end and we have survived relegation. To be honest, I was expecting fully to relegate and go back into League 2, but we actually finished in 13th. That is actually very good for a club like Paris. And there are some further good news. PSG once again lost in the semi-finals to Bayern Munich. It seems like taking Maxine wasn't even worth it to them. But of course, we have to take into account how hard this is going to be because PSG have incredible dominance, winning the league title, having the player of the season, and having majority of the team of the season. One day will be Paris FC getting those accolades. But in the time being, our squad is looking absolutely incredible. Nobody lower than 72, and there's a bunch of 75 above overalls. Our squad is really looking like a good Ligue 1 side. However, in terms of stats, it's not looking so well when our top goal scorer is 11 goals Awuchiche and Paul Pogba, a holding midfielder. It seems like our attack needs more work or more growth to score way more goals. But it's looking like the same as last year as our squad continues to grow. But of course, but PSG have arrived to take their yearly player, and then they could get a crucial player from our team. This could send us back possibly to League 2. And at this rate, I love all of our players. I hope they just don't take a very good one. And it looks like our new signing, Sekou Mara, is going to PSG. To be honest, it's not the worst thing. He only did score 8 goals. And there he goes. Sekou Mara joins PSG as we lose another starting player. But in the time being, of course, we do have to replace Sekou Mara. Sissoko seems to be growing. He did start off at 60 overall, but he's still not good enough for the first team. And once again, $14 million in our budget. This exactly highlights the problem with trying to grow a team in France. But I'm sure we can find an underrated striker for that price that could score lots of goals. However, before we replace Sekou Mara, it is season 3. That means there are some good free agents, and I have found 2 players that I think could fit this team. The first player is Sean Fiat, our ex-Bayern player, and I know he's not good enough to replace Mara, but we can keep him on the bench, and if eventually we sign a striker who eventually gets replaced again, Fiat Arp might be ready for that position. And the final player is a regen, a left back, 76 overall. At 20 years old, he is Spanish. Because we have 0 access to the youth academy in this save, maybe signing regens from their free agency might be the move. And Nicolas Scotza is, of course, 77 overall, but Daniel Aguilar could easily pass him up. And well, to replace Sekou Mara, I do have 2 options. My favorite option right now is Karim Benzema. Yes, he's 30 years old. Yes, there is no progression in signing this man, but he can push us up at the table. Maybe one good season from him is all it takes us to get us into the UCL, and we won't have to get rid of anybody in the team. However, 15 million is kind of stretching it, even though he has 12 months remaining on his contract, so it might not be possible. If we can't get Karim Benzema, I want to go for Neil Maupay. He used to be a goal machine for Brentford and has Premier League experience. Maybe he might be the one if we can't get Karim Benzema. But we're going to try our best here to get Karim Benzema. We're going to offer this left back because we now have 2, and maybe offer 10 million. That is most of our budget. But let's see what they say to that. They said yes. The question is, do we have enough wages for Karim? And it seems like we only have 36,000 to offer to Karim Benzema. There is no way. He says yes, and no, they have rejected. Maybe we come in for him next season. So we went ahead and went for our backup option. Not the most young, not the most impressive, but Neil Maupay is joining the side for free. We did get rid of that one left back with a straight swap deal. I think his name is Gaudin, but he is joining, becoming the new number 9. I think he can score multiple goals here. He probably won't grow too much in overall, but he'll do the job for this season specifically. However, after that Maupay signing, we still have around 9 million left, and I think I'm going to spend it on 2 experienced center backs. 5.1 million already accepted for Issa Diop and Clement Lenglet, who used to play for Barca, who is currently in the free agency. I think these are 2 very good signings to have as backups in case we need them. Plus some experience to the team. And now with the brand new signings added to the side, I'm really hoping that we can finish above where we finished last year, hopefully around 8th to 7th place. And the season has come to an end, and there is improvement. 4 places up the table, sitting in 9th. We're getting closer and closer to that top 3. But of course, once again, PSG went ahead and won the Ligue 1 title. It seems like our goal is still very possible as PSG keep battling in the knockout stages. And the squad is getting better and better each season. Dynamic potential is really taken into account. We have 5 more players reaching the 80 mark. Diop, Aouchiche, Mbappe, Traore, and our goalkeeper, who's been silently incredible. But on the bench, however, this Sissoko kid just continues to grow. I swear he's not playing any football. Aguilar will probably be a starter next season over Koza, and Jean-Pierre Arp actually grew a lot in overall this season. I'm not even sure if he played a lot of games, but I think we'll set a striker if Maupay gets taken away. Once again, we do seem to having a striker problem. Once again, Aouchiche carrying the side with 17 and 14 for Pogba. That is better than last season. But Neil Maupay only scoring 6. That is just simply not good, man. But of course, the team may be growing, but it's time for PSG to go ahead and steal one of our players. The only good thing that our bench is not in danger, but our starting 11, we could easily lose our best player, and Ethan Mbappe is going back to PSG. This is probably the one player I want to get sold because he has a lot of potential, and we could have sold him for a lot of money to any other club. And there he goes. Ethan Mbappe has rejoined PSG. Look at that, 70 million. If we wanted to completely change the team, we would have sold him and we could have had so much money. But PSG have completely stolen him. And kicking off the brand new season, like I said, the squad is not looking very bad, but literally with Aouchiche and Pogba the only ones performing up top, we need a saving grace, and we also need to replace Ethan Mbappe. And with a slight improvement of 90 million, I feel like this challenge is just impossible because we don't have enough money. But when one door closes with Ethan Mbappe, another 2 doors open. We have 2 super free agents here in Thomas Lemar and Karim Benzema. The dream has arrived. We could get Karim Benzema for Paris FC, and only for £60,000 a week. Karim Benzema is doing us a service by joining Paris FC. It seems like we're getting carried by ex-washed-up French players. But if it's working, that is all that matters. We continue to improve. I hope Karim Benzema could just have 1 super season is all I ask for. If we get that 1 super season, we won't have to sell anybody to PSG. Benzema, please do it just for us. And for 26,000 a week, ex-AS Monaco and Atletico Madrid player Thomas Lemar, we will take that. He's at least a like-for-like replacement for Ethan Mbappe. He'll be good for 1 or 2 seasons, and hopefully in that time we can sign some youngsters to make sure to take his place because we're not winning the Champions League with 31-year-old Lemar, 39-year-old Benzema, and like 34-year-old Paul Pogba. We need to get some superstars in. And I'm not gonna lie, I was transfer listing some players, so maybe we can make some more signings if we sell a couple. I do see that Daniel Aguilar, the guy we signed last season and basically hasn't started once, is worth 69 million. I think it might be time to make a sacrifice so we can get some superstars in because we have a bunch of old players. And we have done it, boys, the ultimate sacrifice. We have sold Daniel Aguilar for 92 million alongside some other deadwood, including Neil Maupay because he only scored 6 goals last season. This has to change the course of Paris FC history here because we now have 116 million to spend on players. We need to make the right signings because this could take us from a mid-table club easily to the top 3, or it could take us the other way around and back to League 2. Alright, I went ahead and made a short list of 2 positions, a bunch of center backs, and a bunch of strikers. Hear me out. I know I just signed Karim Benzema, but if I can get like a younger striker that we can keep for a longer time, and we turn Karim Benzema into a cam, improving on that cam position, I think we could do very well and possibly finish in the top 3 this season. And I think for the center back, I want to go for Pierre Kalulu, 84 rated, 27 years old, playing for a fellow Ligue 1 team, and with a wage of only 74k, 52 million might be a steal. And for only 48.5 million plus Lenglet, we are getting Kalulu from Olympic Lyon. Lenglet is literally 5 years old in this guy, and this guy's about to hit his prime. I think this is our first ever Champions League level signing at Paris FC. I hope it pays off. And now that we've signed a center back, we're going to keep these in the shortlist just in case we have enough money to sign another. I've shortlisted a bunch of French strikers that are extremely cheap. And I think my favorite might be Hugo Ekitike, somebody who I believe used to play in the PSG Academy. We could get him for as low as 59.9 million. And he's only 25. I think this might be a steal of a century. And for 61.5 million, we have signed 85 rated Hugo Ekitike, who used to play for PSG. Everybody pay some respect to Pau Aguilar, who became a Paris FC legend without ever becoming a starter at this club, because now we have 3 superstars, maybe even 4 superstars in the team that could help us definitely qualify in the top 3 for the Champions League this season. And now take a look at this team right here. Instant improvement. Of course, Aguilar was better than Koza, but now we have Kalulu. We have Karim Benzema, who will turn into a cam in a couple weeks, and Hugo Ekitike. I think we have made very crucial signings. I think we're getting into the Champions League this season. The season has come to an end. Let's see where we finish. There was a lot on the line at the beginning of the season. We sold a huge talent. We spent a lot of money, and we're in the top 5. We're in the top 3. We qualified for UCL football, and we finished in 2nd place. 22 points behind PSG. But we have UCL football. That means we don't lose any more players as long as we remain in a Champions League spot. But when it comes to the Champions League, PSG have been knocked out once again in the quarterfinals. They're not winning the Champions League anytime soon. That means there's a 50-50 chance either of us win it first. But there is one thing left. We beat PSG in the Coupe de France semifinals, meaning we have a final against FC Lorient, the chance to win our first trophy in the first division. And before we take a look at the squad, let's go ahead and sim this game. Will we win the trophy? And it's a 3-1 win. We win the Coupe de France trophy. But when you take a look at our team, there is no surprise. Our wingers are at 83. Hugo Ekitike has grown to an 87. This midfield is very old, so I didn't expect any growth. Kalulu all the way to an 87. Our goalkeeper, through dynamic potential alone, has grown to an 85 so far. Traore is the first player we signed for this club, I believe. 83 overall. Our fullbacks are very decent. Not only that, but Jean-Pierre Arp has been just growing on the bench. Maybe one day we'll get to use him. But the good thing is, we don't have to get rid of anybody for free anymore. Everybody is an option. So maybe Arp will never get on the lineup, but maybe we could sell him on as well. And you can just tell the difference. We finally have a goal-scoring striker. 18 goals is still not a lot, but it's a step in the right direction. I think if we could get a younger midfield, surely we'll score more goals. But Paul Pogba is still going strong at the age of 35 with 14 goals. We're playing Champions League football regardless next season. Okay, so we have arrived at the brand new season, and there is clear where the weakness is. It's exactly in that midfield. Our fullbacks are pretty weak, but they are still pretty young and still have some time to grow. But that midfield is all above the age of 30, and Benzema is 40, so we need some replacements. However, it's not gonna be so easy because we only have 55 million to spend. Is another sacrifice incoming? Do we have to sell somebody else to make much more money? All right, because we only have 55 million, I have decided to only go for the cam position. However, I do have some ideas. So these first 4 players, we do have some cams. We have around a middle-aged guy. We have a young guy. We have a guy with Premier League experience in Nkunku. But we also have the best cam, French cam possible that we could afford is Jorginho Ruder. However, I also have 2 positions down here in Mohamed Ali Cho and Ousmane Dembele, because we do have Awuchiche who can move into that cam position. And we could possibly get Ousmane Dembele. And wouldn't it be funny to win the UCL with an ex-PSG player? So for my favorite idea is to sign someone like Christopher Nkunku and also sign Ousmane Dembele, automatically improving the team. But that still leaves us with that gap of Tamal Lamar and Paul Pogba. But maybe Paul Pogba and Lamar can hold it down for one more season. But I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. As much as Jorginho Ruder would be an incredible signing, he is a little bit too far out of our price range. I'm going to go ahead and try to sign Ousmane Dembele and Christopher Nkunku. And for literally only 14.5 million, we're signing an experienced 30-year-old Christopher Nkunku, the man who was never the same when he left RB Leipzig. But hopefully, this could be his renaissance in his prime. Can he go ahead and help us win the Champions League before PSG? And now, boys, as I'm making deals with RB Leipzig for Ousmane Dembele, Omar Sissoko, I have no idea who this guy is. It's worth 40 million, and they want him plus 3 million. I'm gonna have to take that. He's our 3rd choice striker. We have to take that, man. And for 3 million plus Sissoko, we are bringing in ex-PSG, probably legend now, Ousmane Dembele. I don't know what happened with the game, but that kid just grew astronomically and maybe had an insane dynamic potential. That's why his value was so high. But we basically got Ousmane Dembele for free. This is ridiculous. And with the remaining funds we did have for 17 million, we have signed ex-Wonderkid, ex-Lyon player, Max Coqueret, who's playing for Como. He's already 20 years old, 80 overall, same as Lamar, but at least he won't go down this season and possibly maybe even go 1 or 2 plus up and overall. More squad depth to help us push for the Champions League in the first time of asking. That would be insane if we won it first try. And this is our brand new and final starting 11 of the season. Nkunku, Ousmane Dembele, and Coqueret have joined the team. It doesn't look likely that we're going to win the Champions League, but you just never know with this game. Maybe this team could just go all the way. All right, we've reached the end of the season. I'm sure we did not get to the UCL final or won it at all, so I'm hoping we finish the top 3 again, because if we don't, PSG are allowed to take a player at the end of the season, and it seems like we're in the top 3. We're safe from taking players. Did we win the league title, though? No, we missed out by 13 points again. That PSG are really dominating. And we lost to PSG in the Trophy de Champ final, which is the Super Cup of French football. And the Coupe de France, neither Paris club were actually in the final. But how do we do in the Champions League? Okay, it's time to find out. I'm hoping we at least got to the playoffs. I'm not really expecting too much. Or the round of 16. And it seems that we've made it into the playoffs at least. Liverpool finishing in 20th, City, Dortmund, Inter. What is going on? Oh my god, boys. No way we're in the automatic spots. We're in the automatic spots. Where did we finish, though, in the automatic spots? PSG finished at 6. We finished in 4th. That's ridiculous. Look at this table, by the way. Frankfurt, Bilbao, Atletico, and Paris FC. Wow. Okay, so that means we passed the playoffs. How do we do? In the round of 16, we beat Bayern Munich 1-0 in aggregate. Quarterfinals. We beat Frankfurt 5-2. They finished in 1st place. Semifinals. No way we made it to the final, right? There's no way we made it to the final. Oh my god, we beat Real Madrid. And we have an all-Paris final. How is that even possible? PSG have not reached the final since we started the save. All of a sudden, they get... How do we not get the same path? Oh my god, boys. It's going to be generational. I have to play this game. And to be honest, I'm not surprised. Just look at this team. 89 Etiquette. Dembele remained like an 85. Auchicher basically reached an 85. Our midfield is looking pretty weak. And Kalulu is suspended. Our goalkeeper has been absolutely... I think we're only here because of Etiquette and our goalkeeper. But we'll look at the stats right now. We're playing without Kalulu in the final. I think Corre will play in this UCL final. Who's been at Paris FC for such a long time. Can we win it all, boys? This is exactly what it was. We finally had a goal scorer. 30 goals by Hugo Etiquette. And then Diop got 16. And Kugo got 13. Auchiche got 12. Even our backup Cam, who's an 82 overall now, got 11 goals. This was the first time that Paul Pogba is in the top 2 of goal scorers. And it shows. And it is time for the UCL final. Regardless of what happens, the video is over because a Paris team would have won the UCL. We're wearing the white kit. They're wearing their legendary kit. We need to win this game. We cannot let PSG win the UCL before us. Ethan Mbappe is on the ball. The man who left us for his old club. It's Mukelele. And here comes PSG with the first attack of the game. It's Lee Kang-in. Great tackle from Nicolas Cotsado. And Nkunku on the ball. Looking for an ex-PSG player. And Ousmane Dembele. 1v1 against the PSG keeper. Can he score a low-driven shot? And he makes him. And it goes in. We take a 1-0 lead. Oh my days, we're beating PSG in the UCL final. Many people expected from me when I came in to sign youngsters, but no, we've signed experienced players, and look where it's taking us in the lead of the UCL final. And now it's Amora on the ball. Shot from outside the box. Great save from our keeper. And now it's Paul Pogba. Pogba gives it all the way to Ousmane Dembele, who holds the ball. Dembele gives it to Pogba. Pogba into Christopher Nkunku. And here we go. I see Hugo Etiquette on the run. I lay it off into him. And now it's 1v1 against Donnarumma with a finesse. It hits the post. How does that not go in, bro? Conceição on the ball. Gives it into Zaire-Emery. Zaire-Emery to Conceição. Into Milas Kerkez. Into Francisco Conceição. And now Conceição gives it into Amora. Here comes PSG, looking to equalize the game. It's Amora looking for a shot. Great save from our keeper. I don't even know how to say his name, fam. Lee Kang-in gives it to Fabio. And now it's Conceição gives it to Schuster with a shot. Great save from our keeper again. No wonder he's been carrying us to this UCL final. Traore gives it all the way into Christopher Nkunku. He's on the run. I believe he also played for PSG's academy. Cuts inside. Nkunku lays it off into Etiquette with a shot. And it goes wide. AKTK, you gotta score that, fam. And now it's Ethan Mbappe, gives it into Mukalele. Mukalele gives it to Lee Kang-in. And here comes PSG, not ready to give up. It's only 1-0. Right before halftime, Lee Kang-in is 1v1. He's through on goal. Great tackle from Corretto, the man replacing Kululu today. And now it's Pedri into Amora. And here comes Amora, gives it into Lee Kang-in, who's 1v1 against the keeper. Great tackle, but it's Pedri. Gives it to Amora, whoever this guy is. Back into Pedri. Let's not concede here. Zai Emery with a shot. Great save from our keeper again. He's been incredible. Ooh, and now it's Christopher Nkunku gets rid of one. Nkunku through ball into Hugo. AKTK. Can he get rid of the PSG defense? Yes, he does. It's the counter-attack of dreams here. Can we make it 2-0? It's the Hugo against his own teammates. Hugo AKTK with a finesse. And it goes in. 2-0. This has to be over. We have to be UCL winners. Uh-oh, it's Amora. 1v1 against the goalkeeper. He gives it to Ethan Mbappe against us. Ethan Mbappe, out of all players, the only one on the pitch that played for us. Makes it 2-1. There's still a lot of time left. And now it's Zai Emery on the ball. Zai Emery gives it to Amora. Amora into Lee Kang-in. This game is not over just yet. It's Conceição on the ball. Conceição is looking for the opportunity here. Conceição. But Traore is holding them well. It's still Conceição. Can he find somebody here? Amora gives it to Ethan Mbappe. Oh my God, Ethan Mbappe almost got a brace against us. Cross in. Pedri gives it to Lee Kang-in with a header. It's 2-2. Oh, this Paris derby is not over. Come on, we can't lose. We were in a winning position, fam. Auchiche on the ball gives it into Hugo Etikite, who gives it to Diop, who came in for Nkunku. As Auchiche cut inside, gives it to Etikite. Etikite gives it into Diop, the super sub, and it goes in. One of our first ever signings, who became a bench player because of Ousmane Dembele, comes in and makes it 3-2. Paul Pogba gives it to Auchiche. Auchiche gives it to Hugo Etikite. AC through on goal. He's onside. 1v1 shots. 4-2, baby. This game is over. We're Champions League winners. And the referee blows the whistle, and we are gonna be UCL winners. But before the trophy celebration, just a reminder to comment down below, what tier of manager rank do I rank in with this Paris FC job? Let me know down below. And Paul Pogba lives the UCL for Paris FC. What a comeback for Paris FC, and what a comeback for Paul Pogba. We have officially won a UCL before PSG, and we are now the best Paris club and the best club in the world. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to click on this video right here.